All right, let's not keep our guests waiting any longer. She's got quite a story to tell. I will warn you, some of this conversation and images may be graphic, so discretion is advised. That's hard to believe, but the war in Ukraine has been going on for nearly 9 months now, going on a year. It started back in February when Vladimir Putin decided to invade Ukraine, claiming that he was trying to reunify the former Soviet Union. And since then, over 200,000 soldiers on both sides have been estimated to have been killed. Over 6,000 civilian deaths have been verified, and nearly 500 of those are children. But with the number of mass graves found in areas retaken by Ukrainian forces, reports of Russian soldiers just executing civilians, and the ongoing bombings, it's estimated that over 40,000 civilians have actually been killed since the war started. Excuse me. Now, today's guest, Victoria Kulyk, who also goes by Vita, went to visit her family in Ukraine just before the war started and ended up getting stuck there. She just recently returned to the U.S. after finally safely escaping through Poland, and she's here to tell her terrifying story. Hey, Vita,
Hey,
Welcome,
yeah,
welcome.
how are you?
thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Welcome to the
Thank you.
podcast. Now, I've just got to start out with how are you? How are you doing these days? And how's your family? Is your family okay?
Um, uh, the how are you question has been a very symbolic recently because like there's no answer to it. There is no proper answer to it because it's all at once and everything that you can think of. But in Ukraine, this question is like we know the answer. We know that there is no proper answer to this, but
Right.
saying it expresses just love and support for the other. Just saying,
Okay.
just asking. So to answer that, it's okay when it's not okay, but it is all right.
Okay. So you're doing well. That's good.
Thank you for asking.
Yeah, I honestly can't imagine what it must have been like for you. Um, so
Neither do I.
all right.
Yes.
So then let's go back. Um,
Mhm.
how did you find yourself in Ukraine back when the war started?
So you know that in Ukraine the Christmas is a little different. The Christmas starts and all the holidays starts in January, not in December. And so I was so exciting after 2.5, probably up to 3 years not being home. I was so excited to go back for the holidays reason. And the Russian troops has been gathering near the border probably since November,
Yeah.
maybe October, November
Yeah.
before that, and everybody's here was telling me, oh, like, look what's happening. Ukraine is now like everywhere on the news. We have never heard about Ukraine so much like these days and stuff like that. But I was like, guys, come on, this is crazy. Nobody would invade. No, like the war wouldn't start. It's just the trick to scare us or something.
Hmm.
I didn't believe it to the last point, even when all the intelligence in the world while being in Ukraine, they were saying probably February 16th, I think, that they would invade, and
Yeah.
all the flights were postponed and stuff like that. So all of that was, I'm like, no, it's
So
not
you thought
happening.
you thought for sure it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah,
You thought it
yeah,
was just
I
a
was sure.
oh wow.
Yes,
Wow.
yeah, I was like at peace to the last point, till the 23rd.
That's faith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, do you think that you had that you wasn't thinking that there was going to be a war because there's been tension between, Ukraine and
Hmm.
Russia for years, and Putin's been
Yeah.
threatening for years. So did a lot of that go in your mind like, okay, this is just another threat from Putin? Is that what you were
Yes, yeah.
thinking?
So basically, Ukraine has been in war since 2014 when Russia invaded the Donbas region,
Hmm.
Donetsk and Luhansk regions, right?
Yeah.
All the east of Ukraine, and they annexed Crimea the same year, primarily to that invasion. So it's been going on, and you're getting used to it. You're getting used to,
Yeah.
which I feel so sorry for right now. But even back at home, you're getting used to it. And it's
Right.
something that is there. Once in a while, you hear some stories about it. At the beginning of 2014, 2015, there were like more or less aggressive action, and you hear it and every day. But after that, you're getting used to it. Like
Yeah.
the news are not resembling it as much. The newspapers or the internet news, you don't hear it as much unless you are in that field, unless you are being volunteering in the military or helping the military throughout all of these years. You don't hear as much.
All right. So
Right.
Right.
February 24th hits, and
Mm.
Putin decides to invade. Now, what's going through your mind? What's going through your families? What are you guys, and where are you at the time?
I'm in my bed. I live in the west side of Ukraine. So so we didn't receive the whole shooting and airstrikes up until like later.
Okay.
But I like that day, probably nobody can forget because everybody has different experience and everybody had a different perception of it. For me, it was 6 a.m. when my dad woke up and he turned on the news and I hear him saying, "Oh my gosh, they are shooting." And I'm like, no, what? Like through my dream and everything, I was I'm like, no, no, it's not happening. And then my brother wakes up at the same time, and then I understand that they invaded. So I wake up, my whole body is numb. This is something that probably like very prominent feeling that I will never forget because this numbness will go for days, for like 2 or 3 days. It's like completely numb. And so that's like when all the emotions, just like getting themselves in the bubble, in the huge bubble, and you don't, and the rest is just space. You
Yeah.
don't have anything. You just like see the news when all the our all channels, all the TV united, and
Yeah.
they were translating what's happening everywhere. So you just like you're stuck at one place on one stool and just watching the news.
Well,
Did,
so go ahead, Johnny.
I was gonna ask,
Yeah.
did you and your family formulate a plan in that moment to have to leave immediately, or was it still kind of panic?
We've been warned before to gather a so-called safety backpack, which would consist of the documents or some money or some valuable stuff, anything that you would need to travel, some matches, lights, and stuff like that.
Yes.
But honestly, my family didn't do it. We didn't do
Yeah.
it. The decision that we didn't even talk about, didn't discuss, was to stay no matter what. And if they come, they would have to kill us to leave, or like to take our land or to take our apartment and that kind of thing. So it's kind of silently, it just went through it went between us, and that's it. We never thought of leaving.
Yeah.
And
Do
a
you
lot of
have any
And it
friends
just
or family that are currently serving in the Ukrainian armed forces? And if
I
so,
have friends.
are you able to communicate with them?
I have friends who are serving there. I've been able to get in touch with some of them. With some of them, I'm getting in touch through other people. Fortunately, they've been not in the front line. They've been on the second line on defense. So they, well, it's it's a very weird or bizarre way to say, but they're in much more safety than the front line, I guess.
Yeah.
yeah, of course.
Yes, but
Yeah. Yes.
yeah.
Liz, you had something?
I was just going to go back to, the decision that she and her family made to stay in place, to, not to leave, not to flee, not to go to another location, another city, another country. Did that decision change after a while? Did people eventually say, no, we have to get out of here?
hmm Well, my mom would definitely pushing me away, kicking me out.
Okay.
Um,
Right.
My brother could not leave and cannot leave because of his age. I have an older grandma, so that's also an
Yeah.
issue. Yeah, that will absolutely that's not plausible. To leave or to go anywhere. And my so technically that was at that point it was just the decision like we just have to be here. I don't know for what way we have to be here.
Did you think at some point you just wake up and maybe it'd be over, or that you just wake up and you'd be annexed with Russia? You'd be just a Russian
Absolutely, yes,
territory.
yeah. Up until they left Kiev
Mhm.
and the northern east part of Ukraine, that was everyday threat.
Yeah. Now, I mean, what does that mean to you to be a part of Russia versus being independent Ukrainian?
That's a very good question. This Russia has been stealing everything from us for generations, for hundreds of years, including history,
Mm.
including our language,
Wow.
including well, everything that you can think of. And fortunately, I've been from the part of Ukraine that more or less have been trying to preserve Ukraine, authentic Ukraine.
Yeah.
Of course, we've been under different states, different countries, different empires, but nobody has been treating us worse than Russia.
I bet.
Since generations, that's been nothing but the torture, vandalism, rape, anything bad that you can think of that's been happening under Russia. So it's not even a question of whether to be with Russia or not to be. It's better to die than to be with Russia.
Wow. I mean, because I'm looking at. I mean, we know that we've heard about the executions. I mean, it's like the just the way they care about or don't care about life in general, lives. I mean, it's appalling. One of the things I had noticed that was really heartbreaking to me was images where people have been killed and they have their suitcases as they're trying to flee. When you thought about leaving or considered leaving, was that something that you were thinking about?
You mean about being killed on the way?
Being killed on the way, trying to leave, yes.
Honestly, I never thought of leaving.
You never thought of leaving.
I could never leave. Yes, I could never leave my family.
Okay.
For me, it was, impossible to even think, and still is impossible to even think if something happens to them and I'm alive. This, this is something that is beyond my understanding so far.
So you were going to stay to
I
protect your family no matter what.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
My the On the other hand, though, it's been everyday constant feeling that yes, it may just come right into my house or right into like the street that I'm walking. There was like no feeling of safe space anywhere. I know that the basement, the bomb shelters and everything. Well, the unfortunate thing is that we didn't have them enough. We didn't have a
Mhm.
good ones, right? Later on, we discovered about the rule of two walls, but at the beginning, there was like no, no safe place. So everywhere where you go, it's like it's that feeling, especially when the airstrike alarm takes off.
So
Right.
so you were worried about the air raids coming through, so you never knew when you were going to get a bomb or something on your
Yes.
buildings.
Yeah.
And
God.
I know that Ukraine, I think people sometimes think of these war torn areas as just like rubble already. But from my understanding, Ukraine had grown into a beautiful, thriving country and kind of like pretty much what you'd see here in the United States. And then, to see some of these images of like destruction, I mean, it's just amazing. And it makes me think about what that would be like here. I mean, it has to be just scary for you, the family, everybody.
Yes.
Absolutely. Ukraine has been, it definitely since 2014, it has been in economical crisis. But we had our European way of our political constructure, basically going to Europe, right?
Mhm.
And everything was raising up. Everything became modern. The economy went better. People started living better. Everything on the street, it was not like a Soviet Union, just the buildings. Everything, the architecture, the historical places, everything is so beautiful. It was beautiful
Yeah.
before, but economically, we were just like it was about to end. This economical crisis was about to end, with COVID
Yeah.
hitting and pandemic hitting. Of course, it didn't help, but it was about to hit. We would need another few years to get out of that crisis
Yes.
and continue living. And then just boom, at one day, and 1 second, everything changes.
So you finally did leave, obviously. Um, so what was that
Mhm.
experience like? What prompted you to leave? What happened?
Right. So I left in September. That was by choice. Definitely not was forced to leave. I would say that I lived in the much more, even though there is no safe place in Ukraine, but I lived in the a fairly safe zone, where
Mhm.
after they left Kiev, there was no threat of them coming there. It was only
Yes.
airstrikes basically. And while I was at some point, it was a little quieter, which I understand right now. This is like okay, this is going to be like a little down until it upgrades into the East Front, right?
Right.
So I thought because all of the news were all about nothing, about just like regular stuff, or everything else was like getting more strike alarms, and I thought that this because that was the experience from 2014. So that is gonna be into this stage. This will go into to this stage, and
So
since I
so you
wasn't
thought it was
working,
calming down, basically. You're saying you thought it was
I was
starting to calm down.
yes, yes,
So I
that
mean,
I would
so
make
but
so much.
Ukraine's been winning, right? They've been winning this
Absolutely,
war.
yeah.
Because they've retaken several territories, and they're starting to push
Mhm.
out Russia. Um, I mean, obviously, there's been casualties on both sides, so there's really no winner in this. But they've been definitely making strides to coming back. So, did you feel like maybe this because Ukraine was sort of winning or pushing them back, that was a good time to leave?
At that point, actually, Ukraine was at the front was still it's never still, but we don't hear about that news unless
Okay.
you are very,
Right.
very much in connection with the military stuff.
Okay.
You don't
Yeah.
hear about that. You don't hear much because it's under the secrecy, which is it's understandable. And it was just coming into the sensation. There are now no strikes, so much not so big wins, not big losses. So I decided to go because I thought that I can actually do more while working here. I can help a little bit more over there because
Oh,
I
makes sense.
was
Yeah.
already thinking about the restoration, the rebuilding and
Right.
stuff like that. But little did I know, of course. I mean, this is all the experience that you can only get while living it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
That's true.
and how did you get out?
I went through Poland. It took me probably, well, good 24 hours with the break to get through Poland, but it wasn't bad. I wouldn't because usually it would take people 7 days to stay at the border, or
Mhm.
like
Mm.
even more.
Wow.
There were huge lines. I was considerably lucky. We went through the border pretty quick, and just to get to the Warsaw and stuff, and further, it took longer.
Oh.
How many people were
Wow.
in your group when you went to Poland? Was it just you, or were there how
Uh,
many other people were with you?
I was the only one who was actually going to US, but the other people were going. The other people that were in the car, there were five other women because
Yes.
men are
Okay.
not allowed to leave the country. They went to actually work in Poland for the seasonal job because
Oh, wow.
like everything went down in Ukraine, so like people would search and look up for additional financial
Right.
support and
Did, did I hear you
yes,
say?
everywhere.
Did I hear you say that men are not allowed to leave?
Yeah, certain groups are only allowed to leave that are beyond 60 years old,
Oh,
and the ones that have three children or more. And I think there are there are maybe like one or two other groups for
categories.
men. Yeah,
Okay.
that are yes,
Yeah,
yeah, categories. Yeah.
it's
Most men.
pretty typical wartime
Yep.
rules. They want the men to stay back so they
Mhm.
can potentially fight. So they let the women and
Yeah.
children or the elderly or people who have medical conditions
Mhm.
go first.
Yep.
But it's still very jarring to
To
hear, you
hear.
know.
Yeah.
Yes, it
Yeah,
is.
it's still
Yeah.
very jarring to hear.
All right.
And
Any?
so how long did you stay in Poland?
For one day only.
Oh, that's good.
Okay.
That's good.
And
It
then
was
from
more of
Poland
a
you went to,
transition.
and then from Poland you
Straight to
went
New York.
to, okay,
Okay.
okay, very good. Very good.
Mhm.
Very good.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what about friends that are back? Like, do you know anyone that is still trying to get out, or are people still feeling like, okay, things are subsiding a little bit. Maybe it'll get better.
Mhm. Honestly, it's not subsiding at all, but
Okay.
as weird as it is, as messed up as it is, people are coming back. They are not leaving. All of my
Okay.
Going
friends are
back to
back. Some of
Ukraine.
them never leave. Yes,
Mm.
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
It's their home. Unless people lost everything and like they basically don't have a place to live, they are those are the ones who are staying abroad. Otherwise, people are coming
Yeah.
back. A lot of them are coming back right now.
I've got a
Wow.
I'm
question
just
online for
curious.
you. I'll let you ask your question. Let me just get this one in.
Yeah.
Is there? This is from Jacqueline Robinson online. Is there concern that the rest of the world will basically move on the longer this war continues?
Is there a concern that the war will move
That
on?
that the
Will
world
move on?
that the world will move on, that they
The world.
won't care anymore, as long because right now we hear about Ukraine. We hear about it regularly still on our news cycles, but as it continues into February and that which will make it a year, do you feel like the world will stop caring or stop that it won't be front and center anymore?
Absolutely. 100% yes. And even though all the politicians and like everywhere in the world, they are support probably, well, everybody of the civilized world, they are supporting and expressing the further and continuing support for Ukraine. All of the people are fearing that it will stop being important. And that is why I'm so grateful for you guys for doing this because every day, every single month, every month, like I don't want to say celebrate, it's not a celebration, but every 24th, we're like, okay, like, where are we? Like, are we,
Yeah.
like,
There's
are we getting somewhere?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, is it gonna end? People are exhausted. Everybody's exhausted. I understand that. Believe me, like, that's the, I know that it is overwhelming, but this is something that, I don't even know how to explain. This is a new experience. This is war.
Yes.
absolutely.
Mhm.
Rob?
Yeah. So I'm very curious. Now that you are back home and you're safe and sound, what is the most difficult part of being back home?
Of being back in New York, of being
Right.
back in Ukraine, you mean?
Being back in the US where you're safe. What's the most difficult
Okay.
part about being back in the US?
Um, um, I've never, I've heard, our psychologists and psychiatrists, they were saying that, uh, the PTSD will kick in once like you're in the safe place or after the war is gone, or
Hmm.
when it stops. So, and I surely did not know that it would be the case for me, you know. But
Wow.
the feeling, coming here at the beginning was so crazy because you're in the safe zone, but you are
Yes.
jumping off when you hear the helicopter sound or the plane sound, and you're just like you want to be somewhere under the ground. You want to be somewhere where like it's safe, where like that, with in between the two walls or something like that. um
Yes.
I prepared myself for some of the emotional issues that I might face, like, people not caring about it, people not still know the difference between Russia and Ukraine. That's what I've been facing before. So I prepared myself for that. The probably the painful part was when people were still like, is it going on? Is it still going on? Um,
Oh,
so
yeah.
that was then, yes. And of course, like right now, when everything is going there, being experiencing all of this anger and fear for everyone that are left there, it's also a part of a part of the emotion, a part of the experience that I still need to figure out how to deal with.
So would you
Yes.
say that's kind of like a survivor's guilt kind of thing? Where,
Um,
Hmm.
might be, yeah.
yeah, I'm so sorry that you're having to go through all of this. That's absolutely awful.
It's
Yes.
heartbreaking.
Thank you.
Have you been able to connect with any other Ukrainians in New York or some type of support groups there to
Mhm.
help
Yeah.
you get through the PTSD, or to just talk to
Mhm.
whenever you need, or to
Talk
just
to
get a
someone.
bit of home, if you will, while you're in New York?
Hmm.
Honestly, been joining these manifestations in New York, which were organized by Erasmus for Ukraine. It's the group, it's the organization that's been also
Nice.
helping a lot with humanitarian help. So yes, it's definitely. I live in the area where I knew there were Ukrainians. There used to be Ukrainians some years back, but I never know
Hmm.
they are still there. And now that I see the flags there, it really helps me, think that, oh my
What,
gosh, I'm not alone here.
what part of
Yes.
New York are you? I used to live in New York for like 21 years. What part of New York are you in?
Astoria.
Okay. Yep. 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 Makes sense. Yep.
Quick comment online from Mike Winter. Republicans retaking the House probably made the situation scarier. This weekend, there were some ridiculous misinformation discussions about the U.S. not having enough weapons. Um, MTG and Jim Jordan will be all over that BS after, I don't know who's Baby Tuckums spreads more of the BS. Baby Tuckums? Don't know who that is.
What?
Okay. All right. Um, any final
Rob.
questions? Maybe Gianni, did you want to ask one final question before we let
Um,
Vita go?
yeah, I kind of wanted to know, I guess more towards the PTSD, if your family is suffering in that sense. I know that most people are, but if you notice that your family's suffering from any PTSD in the same way you are, or it kind of manifests differently in your family members.
I don't think it manifested yet. I think they're like pulling their strands all together just to go through it
Oh,
because they are still in that zone. So it didn't manifest yet. All I can say is like they are definitely exhausted.
I
Everybody
bet.
exhausted and everybody's
I bet.
traumatized. It's just to what extent it will show later.
Yeah, I bet.
oh
Yeah.
God.
All right, Vita. I want to say thank you so much for sharing your story with us. The world definitely needs to know what's happening in your home. And I noticed when Rob asked the question about home, out of curiosity, where's your home?
Mm.
Ukraine.
Ukraine. I
Ukraine,
thought so.
of course.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I'm going to give you a minute for any last words. Anything you'd like to say or share with our audience?
No, thank you guys. Thank you so much for bringing this up, for bringing Ukraine up. I want to thank everybody for the tremendous support, because I think that the countries and the political systems are only helping because of the people protests and manifestations. And
Yes.
I'm forever grateful, and I'm sure that I speak on behalf of everyone, that we're like, it's so much appreciated, it's so much valued, that it just, there's not enough words to express that. So
Yes.
Aw.
thank you everyone.
We thank you. We thank you for
Thank
sharing your
you.
story. We're
Vita,
happy that you're
thank you for
safe.
Wish you
being
the best
brave.
of luck.
We're glad your
Best of luck to
family is
both
safe as
you and
well.
your family. Take care.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
Thank you.
All right.
Mhm.
Wow.
What a story. What a story.
A very
Wow,
heartwarming story, and I
Vita.
think it's one that, because we've been privileged here in America,
We have
not
been.
really to have been invaded. You know, we have not been a part of any, like, we've been a part of incidents. They don't like to call them wars, but incidents
Yes.
over the past, few decades, but nothing on this scale.